When a buyer asks ChatGPT, Google, or Gemini, what's the best way to solve problem X? The answers often come from structured content by experts. In other words, exactly the kind of content a webinar produces. So how do you go from one live webinar to tens of content pieces? Well, today we'll talk about how to repurpose your webinar. I'll share 6 ways you could actually go about repurposing your webinar to be cited in AI search as well as on Google. Let's get into the first one. The first way is to turn your webinar into a blog post. Your webinar often offers a bunch of deep insights into a topic that would do great in text format as well. Pull out the transcript of the webinar, for example using your webinar platform, do some editing and add it to your company blog. This way you could use your webinar as kind of a base and put out a structured article that would rank well on both Google and in AI search. You could add some images and videos even, and also put the on-demand replay in the article with a kind of call to action to sign up, so you could easily take part in the full thing. This works because text-based articles are great for AI to kind of parse and go through. It's very cheap for them, the AI models, to go through text-based content. So by feeding them with these text-based blogs, for example, you will easily be able to be cited and referenced in the AI search results. So a blog with the webinar's main points, speaker quotes, and examples will give you plenty of content to cite. Number 2 is to offer the on-demand replay. This sounds basic, yet data shows that many webinar hosts still don't offer the on-demand replay in 2025. As long as you record the webinar in your webinar software, for example in Univid, you should be able to offer an on-demand version of the webinar. Either putting it on your website where you can embed it, or in the webinar software after the webinar is finished. You can put the recording on your own site as a landing page or embed it in a blog post. So decide if you want to gate the webinar behind a form or if you want to keep it open. Put it in a blog post or a dedicated landing page, for example, on your website. Make sure to include the description, speaker bios, and a call to action to learn more or similar. If you gate it, well, then you will generate leads also after the webinar, and you'll be able to gather the emails and info. But if you put it ungated, you will obviously get a bit more exposure and it could be good for awareness. And the tip here for AI search is to always include the text and full transcript, whether you gate it behind a form or not. This way, AI tools can easily pick it up and reference it in their answers and make people interested in the full webinar. In Univid, the replay is available instantly after the webinar, and you can just grab the embed code directly with no extra setup needed. In other software, you might be able to download the recording and then upload it on your own, for example. Number 3 is to create short video clips for social media. Webinars are great for building relationships and really going in depth on a topic, positioning you as a thought leader and building out a relationship with the audience. Well, short form video, meaning videos that are up to 60 seconds long, can be great to drive awareness and top of funnel, often towards this type of deeper content. To produce shorts, you can either spend a lot of time recording them separately, or you could repurpose your webinar into short video clips. Also short video clips with descriptive titles, for example how to run a Q&A, uploaded to, for example, YouTube, can be indexed and then surfaced in both AI search and Google. So cut out 30 to 60 second clips from your webinar, a tip or a stat or a memorable quote, and then add, for example, captions and put it out on platforms like YouTube, TikTok, or LinkedIn. And these posts typically see strong engagement also from people in your network or people that follow your company. A pro tip here for finding these interesting shorts and moments is to look at reactions. For example, live reactions in Univid you could see in the graph afterwards and find the moments where it makes sense to pull out shorts, because a lot of people reacted to these moments, so they are probably good to make other people react in your LinkedIn feed or similar. So for example, here in the graph you could see 11 minutes in and 20 minutes in the example. Those could be good moments to pull out shorts from. Number 4 is to upload longer segments to YouTube. YouTube is owned by Google and is the second biggest search engine out there, so upload either parts of your webinar or the full thing to YouTube for search benefits. Essentially, you could break it down to topic like chunks based on topics, 5 to 15 minutes per chunk, and then use keyword-rich titles and descriptions. Or you could post the full thing and put a good description, title, etc. AI search tip here is that both LLMs and Google use YouTube video transcripts. So clear titling and description help them understand what's inside of your webinar or video. So don't forget to add chapters and a good description. And number 5 is to write a webinar recap email. So email is still super efficient in 2025, that is if you do it right. Provide value in the inbox of the attendees and non-attendees or leads. By simply sending them a short bullet list of the webinar, just summarizing the main points, interesting statistics, memorable quotes as we talked about. Also in this email include a link to watch the recording, ideally one where you don't have to sign up again, so use the webinar softwares one if you have one. And this is a great way to also keep non-attendees in the loop, so send them out value and a lot of people will be interested and you will stay top of mind. Also you could drive more views towards your on-demand content, which in turn could rank that content higher in the search results. Pro tip here is to add a nice visual like graph, quote or statistic to make the email eye-catching. It should be easy to skim, well structured and with a title that pops in the inbox. Number 6 is to rerun a good webinar as a simulated live one. If you have a webinar that turned out great and maybe you wish you could rerun it, well, simulated live webinars make it possible and it is a great way to get more out of an existing webinar that went really well. Extract the recording from the previous webinar and publish it in a platform like Univid that supports simulated live webinars. This takes no additional effort and you could schedule it at multiple times or whenever it makes sense. And you could still work a lot with the same type of interactivity that you had previously. So you could have a Q&A, a live chat, reactions or polls, and you would just not have to be in the video and you could just launch these things and enjoy as people join in and ask questions and fill out this with even more content. So that could be a great way, but obviously you won't be able to interact through the video itself, while live webinars are still really great. If you want to learn more about how to work with pre-recorded and simulated webinars, check out the guide I've put together on that. I'll put a link up here. And that is it for today, I think. If you're planning to host your next webinar, Univid is a platform to create engaging webinars in 60 seconds. We have built a great bunch of automations and good things to allow you to work with live CTAs to drive conversions and a lot of engagement and branding and all of that. So check that out if you're curious. Otherwise, we put out a lot of these type of videos that educate you around how to host the best webinars based on data, such as in the Webinar Insights report we put together. I'll put a link to that down below. Otherwise, I wish you best of luck in your next webinar and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao!